Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. My name's Cathy Nelson. Many of you probably remember that I worked here for a few decades and retired 11 years ago and have been working on the town history pretty much ever since. With me tonight is my just incredible lady, Sallie Calliandri. She's the town historian and past president of the Historical Society. And she knows more than I will ever know. Honest. So tonight we're talking about the Moore family. Besides Marjorie Moore and Nelson Augustus Moore, there are other Moore relatives that are interesting and important to the history of the town. So we'll be talking about more than just those two individuals. And being a librarian, click. We're just waiting a moment. Anne's coming to our rescue. We're recording tonight, and so hello, Zoom people. It's nice to have you with us, even if we can't see you. Technical issues for those who can't see. All right, being a librarian, I always have my sources, and there were three primary sources that I used for this presentation. The first is a wonderful book about Nelson Augustus Moore. It was put together by his Picture Trust, the Moore Picture Trust, several years ago, a couple decades ago probably. And it's got beautiful illustrations and gives a very good biography about him. Online, I tripped upon a website called Sheldon Moore of Kensington, which also had a lot of good information. And finally, this is a book I wrote. It was my first book, The History of the Library. And besides the Pecks and the Hotchkisses who gave the land for the original library, I also did a lot of research about Marjorie Moore and was fortunate enough to be able to interview people who actually knew her. And then Blanche Delaney is another chapter. And for those of you who don't know, she's the reason we have this beautiful building here today. So I interviewed people and did some research about her as well. Copies of this book are available at the museum, and they're open on Saturdays from 1 to 4 through the summer and fall. All right, so much for sources. Oh,
Hi.
hi.
I'm here.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Just a minute bit of genealogy. The Moore family began with Deacon John Moore and his wife Abigail Pinney, who in 1630 came on the ship Mary and John to Dorchester, Massachusetts. And then they followed Reverend Warham to Windsor, Connecticut. And so his house is still in existence in Windsor. It's been moved, so now it's on 37 Elm Street, but you can still see it in that town. All right. The Moore family was for 4 generations in Windsor, and interestingly enough, it was the oldest son who were all named John. So John Moore had a son named John Moore, who had a son named, and so they did their thing up in Windsor. And then John Moore, the fourth or fifth, had a son in the middle of his clan named Roswell Moore. I call him Roswell Moore the first. He was born in Windsor and eventually moved to the Southington area of Farmington. At that time, South Farmington became Southington. So that was he married and bought 40 acres of land from Ruth Burnham. And then the next year bought another 40 acres. So he had a pretty good farm there, pretty good sized. They say he owned from Panther Swamp Rock to a mile south of the Shuttle Meadow Reservoir, which I guess is pretty extensive.
Yeah, pretty much. I think, Marilyn, you might have an idea where Panther Swamp is.
I can't hear you.
Ooh. Hello? Yes?
Closer.
Okay. Panther Swamp.
I really don't, I've heard of that, but I don't
Okay.
know where it is.
Okay. I think it's in the southern end of Southington. Not too far from Berlin, and Shuttle Meadow is where Rogers Orchards is. So that gives you an idea. That's a pretty sizable chunk of land.
All right. Roswell the first had 5 children, including Squire Roswell the second. And next one. A real brief family tree. Squire Roswell was born in Southington and had 8 sons and 4 daughters. He was a state representative and he made Applejack, which is basically an apple cider, hard cider. And many of his children were not in favor of this at all. They disapproved of this. We'll be following 3 of his sons in this presentation here. Yep, next. This is a picture of his house in Southington. And today the house is on Andrew Street and is still in existence today. Squire Roswell purchased land in town here, the Winchell gristmill and carting shop. The other half of the gristmill was owned by Dr. James Percival, who was the father of James Gates Percival, for whom everything in town is named. Percival Pool, Percival School, Percival Avenue. Have I forgotten any?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Percival Heights, I think that's, the senior center, the living quarters there is called Percival Heights. And there's a Percival Field around the field,
Percival Pool.
the pool, so.
All right.
Time.
Nope. Oh, nope, not yet. Anyway, when Dr. Percival died suddenly, Squire Roswell acquired the other half of the grist mill. He added a second mill to manufacture dried cornmeal, which was later converted to a cement mill, and we'll be talking about that in a moment. He also sold buckwheat, which was sold throughout Connecticut, and manufactured linseed oil. So a lot of enterprises there. The book, Ethelbert Moore, who's a descendant of Nelson Augustus Moore, wrote a book called titled 10th Generation. And he describes a whole series of what he called ponds, and we would think of as reservoirs. Upper Moore Pond, Lower Moore Pond, Winchell Mill Pond, and so on. They had the grist mill, the carting shop, the corn meal. They manufactured metal and hardware, all kinds of stuff. And this is a photo that Nelson Augustus Moore took of the cement mill pond and the blacksmith shop. And unfortunately, somebody tried to label things on this map and it doesn't, it's difficult to read. So I apologize, but it's basically centered around High Road area there in the Glen Street area of town. This is a picture of Moore's Dam. Moore's Sawmill. Again, these are pictures, but this one's by Nelson Augustus Moore. The dam here broke in 1938 in the hurricane. And the cement mill pond. All right, the first son of Squire Roswell that we're going to talk about is Oliver. He married and had 2 children. His wife died, so he remarried to Abigail Hart and had 2 more children. He lived in Selah Hart's house at 204 Rod Road, which is still in existence today. And the descendants is basically General Selah Hart adopted his brother's children, and through that lineage is how Abigail Hart connects to the general. Make it a little easier for you. Oliver Moore was an engineer, although he didn't go to college or anything. He helped his father in developing the company, supervising dams, building, and mill construction. And this is a picture of the double bridge with a cement mill in the back. And I know Sally's going to talk about the bridge.
This is another one that I think, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. This is another one that I think was washed out in the 1938 hurricane. It went from Sheldon Street all the way across to High Road. And I can remember my mother talking about how the fact that it was washed out in the 38 hurricane. What else do we have? I think that's it.
Yep.
So,
We can go on to paper goods. That's a good one.
okay. Yeah, I think everybody knows where Paper Goods Pond is. The dam, the cement dam was supposedly built by Oliver Moore. But the pond has been there for probably over 300 years. There was a mill there that was run by the Bronson family. That is reported to have supplied the lumber for basically the 3 meeting houses. The one that on Christian Lane, there was another meeting house on the corner of Porter's Pass and Farmington Avenue, and the current meeting house, which is now the Kensington Congregational Church.
And Worthington Meeting
And
House.
probably the Worthington Meeting House as well. So. Yeah,
It was considered the best dam in Connecticut when it was built.
best damn in Connecticut. I couldn't resist. What have we here?
Sheldon, second son.
Moore was another son of Roswell. And I always remember this as Tom Downer's
Oh,
house.
I know, we've skipped one. Oh, well. Okay.
Okay. It's on the corner of Glen Street and Sheldon Street. And the name, obviously Sheldon was named for Sheldon Moore. What have we here? He married Susan Dickinson, who was a local girl, and he had 3 sons and a daughter. And that house was originally built by Matthew Hart, whose daughter Betsy Hart was the mother of James Gates Percival.
You see how everything interrelates here, folks.
Studies related to everybody. That's just the way it goes. And
Next,
okay. And
he graduated.
here we have Sheldon Moore, who did graduate from Yale. in 1818, and he was contemporary and a lifelong friend of James Gates Percival, so,
And that's James.
and that's
Percival.
James, so. Sheldon did get a degree in law, but he was a teacher as well in Virginia and later in Sharon, Connecticut, and also Berlin. And he worked with Emma Hart Willard in the 1840s to improve the Berlin school system. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, Sheldon was a lawyer.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Apples, it's apples. Won lots
Won a
of,
lot of lot of prizes. Okay, I'll let you. go
okay,
back.
next. Now, we've mentioned the cement mill a couple of times here. It was Sheldon Moore who, with his friends Gad Andrews and Anson Merriam, both Moore in Southington there, read about the Erie Canal, and it was written by one of the professors at Yale. I think it's Benjamin Silliman, or Professor Silliman, I should say. And it talked about blue limestone being used for cement manufacturing. And so Anson remembered that his father's land had some of this blue limestone. And so the three experimented and had success in developing cement and formed a company. And a couple of years later, they split off. Andrews stayed in Southington with his father's property, and Sheldon came here to Kensington, where they had another outcropping of this limestone, and so developed the cement mill here in town. And it operated until the 1850s. Now, this is a sign that lots of us in the history of the town have seen. We don't see the actual sign anywhere, but somebody took a photo of it. And it says that it's the site of the first cement mill in the United States, 1829. But according to Sheldon Moore of Kensington, the website there, it's the first blue limestone hydraulic cement mill in Connecticut, and it should have been dated 1826. So within those couple of years, they were developing it and continued to produce the cement for a couple of decades there. Sheldon Moore was an interesting character. He also started the manufacture of sundials. We think of this as a Roman thing, but the sundials were made out of cast iron and initially made by a company called Wilcox and Pryor of New Haven, and then N. Wilcox Company. And what's interesting is he calibrated it, figured out the math so that the sundials were accurate for a latitude of 46 degrees. And so it's pretty much accurate from Montpelier to Washington, D.C. South of there, you need to recalibrate your sundial to have it be accurate. And this is a picture of the sundial that's at the Historical Society. Sheldon's role also in the Moore and Sons company was that he was a lawyer for his father as well. And yet another Roswell. So, and the third son of Squire Roswell is Deacon Roswell. He was born in Southington and married Lucy Allen. He moved to Berlin because of the Moore and Sons company there, and built, I'll talk about the house in a minute. He had three children, Nelson Augustus Moore, Ellen, and Roswell IV. We keep going with these Roswells, folks. Ellen, unfortunately, died. She was a painter, and she died fairly young. I think she was in her 30s, never married, never had children. So really the two that we follow are Nelson Augustus Moore and Roswell IV. Deacon Roswell built his house on High Road in 1824. The house still exists. And Moore and Sons manufactured, like I said, metal tools and chisels and knives and sold them as far away as to Kansas. And in 1865, the Moore and Sons mills were sold to J.T. Hart. I think Deacon Roswell, I'm gonna skip this one.
Okay.
Deacon Roswell was concerned with bettering conditions for the poor. He was a strong advocate for temperance. He was a deacon at the Kensington Congregational Church. He was, his wife, Lucy, painted clock faces for a company in Bristol, Connecticut. And it said that she wanted her children to be a poet or a painter. And you'll see how that affects the next couple of generations. Nelson Augustus Moore did a painting of his birthplace, and that's what we have here. You want to do Nelson?
Sure. Nelson Augustus Moore is a member of the Hudson River School of Painting. And I just love his work. He lived, with his family. He built the stone house that's on High Road using local stone, and they reopened the cement mill to create the cement that held the stones together. Many of his paintings are of Kensington. He also painted a lot of Lake George and also Martha's Vineyard. The next slide, we have a photo of Nelson Augustus with his wife and his children. He had 4 children: Edwin, who was also a painter, Ellen, Ethelbert, and Pickett. And this photo was taken in 1865. Nelson was also one of the first photographers. He had a shop in Hartford, and one of the photos that you see there is one of the earliest photos of the Kensington Congregational Church. One that I'm not sure is in here or not, but he took a photo of the original charter
Yeah.
oak.
That's the second one.
Okay, I couldn't see.
Yep. It's not
in-
all that clear,
In
but
Hartford,
it's old.
yeah, it fell down in a storm, and I think it was like 1855, and he was able to capture that, so. He also wrote
Yep.
The Last Men of the Revolution with his brother and Reverend Elias Hilliard, who was the minister at the Kensington Congregational Church. It kind of didn't get a lot of press because it happened at it came out the same time as the Civil War started, so the Civil War kind of took precedence over that, but it did make it into print with the daguerreotypes of the last men that were
About
standing.
10 to 12 men
Yeah.
were highlighted, and then the monument.
Oh yeah.
I gotta have.
He was also the
Design.
designer of the Civil War monument that stands at the church. Go ahead.
We're laughing because last week when we did this program at the senior center, I totally forgot about the monument.
So did I.
It's like all the
Duh.
research I've done on the Civil War and the church and the town is like, duh.
Same thing. Okay.
All
right.
right.
He was also a member of the Kensington Congregational Church, and he was a signer for the Peck Library as well.
And now we have fun.
These are wonderful slides. A lot of these we are pretty sure they're of Kensington. So if you want to know what Kensington looked like back 150 years ago, enjoy the ride. So go ahead. Okay. We're not quite sure where some of these were. This one, I think, yeah, this one I think is in Southington looking eastward. If you look, I think that might be West Peak. In the background. And this one, I would almost bet my grandchildren that that's High Road somewhere. And another one. And yes. And this one is another one that I think was probably in Meriden somewhere. Meriden or Southington. And the Hanging Hills. Yeah, okay. Haying in Kensington. And the next one I'm pretty sure is High Road also.
It's named High Road.
Yeah. Okay. This one is the famous Meriden Notch. Which if you're going down Chamberlain Highway, even if you're going down Berlin Turnpike and look west, you can see it and it's like, I'm home, you know? Okay. And these are, these mill photos, mill paintings, I think are of the mills that were between Glen Street and High Road. Go ahead. Okay. Okay, Turkey Hill?
Yep.
Yeah. That's on the top of the hill. And go ahead. Yeah. I don't know where this is, but I want to go there. Okay. And another pond. Okay, the next one.
You want to
This
talk
is-
parsonage?
Yeah, the Robbins Parsonage. Was on like halfway up Robbins Road. If you're heading west on Robbins Road, it was on the right-hand side of the road. Just past, there's a little side street there and I can't recall the name of it. What it?
Was it Town Drive?
No, no, not that far. No, this was on Robbins Road. Oh yeah, it was before Town Drive. It's not Bluebird. I can't even think of, I can't think of it. It'll come to me at 3 o'clock in the morning. But the house unfortunately burned down. It was bought by Royal Robbins probably in the early 19th century. And he lived there all of his life. And when I was a child, George Clark and his family lived there. And then after he passed, I don't remember where it went to, but the house burned in 1965, I believe.
67.
67, okay, I was close. So unfortunately, there were a couple of fatalities with that.
Yeah.
But. And
Which
here-
we'll talk about next month when we do the fire departments.
Right, exactly. And another one of the upper pond. Okay, the next one, the stone house and barn. If you look at the hill that's in the background, that is Turkey Hill. And when I look at Turkey Hill today, it's covered with trees and houses and everything. But this is what it looked like 150 years ago. Okay. And another one of the stone house. Okay. Yeah, I think. All right, and
Another
Okay,
one,
yeah.
Turkey Hill.
yeah, and another Turkey Hill.
You seem to like it.
He did, yeah, and another one. And he liked his ponds. Okay, and the next one. Okay, this one, you can look. This is done from the stone house. You can see the Kensington Church in the far left. And if you look kind of near the right-hand corner is Percival Avenue. The red house there is now, that's the James Gates Percival House. That, okay, Derek Polito lives in now.
And isn't it yellow
And
now?
It's an antique yellow now. But, okay. Okay, and here's Nelson himself. I think that's a photograph. And the next one also is another photograph. Okay, I'll let you take it back, Roswell.
All right. The other child of Deacon Roswell that we're talking about is Roswell the Fourth. He married Henrietta Norton, who was a local girl. And they started off living at his father's house on High Road, right next to Nelson Augustus Moore. They had 3 children, Henrietta, Roswell, and Marjorie. Sadly, Henrietta died after 6 weeks after she was born, so very short life there. Roswell the Fifth, I do have I have a slide for him. And then Marjorie Moore were the 2 children there. Roswell the Fourth was also a manufacturer at his father's Moore and Sons Mills. And as I said, it was sold in 1865. Next. With his brother, they worked on the book about the last Revolutionary War soldiers. In 1868, he joined Nelson Augustus Moore's photo studio up in Hartford, and then he became the Kensington postmaster in 1869. He was also the first president of the Berlin Fair. His son, Roswell the Fifth, was a bookkeeper and then vice president of the Waterbury Buckle Company, and he had a reputation for efficiency and prosperity. He married, and his wife had 2 children from a previous marriage. Roswell died really suddenly while he was in France in 1930. And of course, Marjorie Moore. This is my favorite picture of Marjorie Moore, actually. It's a New Britain Herald photo of her. She was born in 1868 and died in 1957. And most people only know 3 things about her. They know that she wore hats, large flowery hats, that she was the first postmistress of Kensington, and I believe the only one, and that she left a trust fund to benefit Kensington. She graduated from New Britain High School and actually started by teaching at a private school in Hartford. After her father died in 1907, she fulfilled the rest of his term as postmistress and then had a term of her own before she retired in 1917. And then she was librarian and board member of the library. She wrote poetry and plays. The plays were community group plays and church youth groups to raise money for various charities. And she was a watercolor painter. And there are 3 paintings at the estate Green Animals in Newport, Rhode Island. This is one of them. The Green Animals is the topiary estate, I guess you'd say. It was her friend Alice Brayton that she visited, and this is a second image of the topiary gardens. And Alice requested that she do a painting of Benedict Arnold's cemetery in Newport. Now, this is not the traitor, General Benedict Arnold. I can't remember now if it's his father or grandfather, also named Benedict Arnold, because nobody has original names. They just reuse them over and over again. It's a very small cemetery and surrounded by houses, so it looks like it's a big, expansive cemetery, but the actual cemetery is probably smaller than this room. This is a painting of Marjorie Moore did that is presently at the Marjorie Moore Senior Housing Office. I don't think they realize how incredible this is, and I hope the Historical Society grabs it from them sometime. Who's saying? And this is my favorite painting of hers, actually, because it reminds me of her bird sanctuary. And this is owned by a resident whose family were friends with Marjorie Moore, and they very much know how important this painting is. So I'm not worried about them. She often traveled to Florida. I think she was a snowbird before there were snowbirds. She was a Red Sox fan, and obviously she loved her bird sanctuary. She was humble and never really flaunted her wealth, although everyone knew she had money, but she wouldn't rub your face in it. And it seems she thought of herself as an ugly duckling, that she was no great beauty, but later on people would realize how special she was. She often gave young children a copy of this book, not this particular illustration copy, but of the title. And she was a member of the Monday Night Club, which began in the late 1910s, early 1920s, mostly Kensington churchwomen. It was a private organization. You had to be sponsored to become a member. Their theme was friendship, charity, and culture. And I think that really sums up what Marjorie Moore was all about. The minutes of this group are written in poetry. And it's really fun to read them. The Historical Society has their minutes and songbooks and a couple of Marjorie Moore plays and so on in one of their, what do I say, exhibit, not exhibit, but collection. Thank you. That's a good word, collection. Oh, and I didn't even talk about the library. Oh, well, because she was a librarian and on the board. Okay, she appreciated natural beauty. Her thing was wildflowers and birds. She played bridge, and as I said, she wrote plays for the youth groups and the town at Brandegee Hall and at Kensington Congregational Church. She attended the Kensington Congregational Church regularly, but she actually never joined. And she died in 1957 and left most of her estate as a charitable organization to benefit Kensington. Originally, it was the New Britain Savings Bank? National Bank, thank you, which is now Bank of America. And the purpose of the charitable organization is art, culture, humanities, education, health. Several years ago, 1992, the Monday Night Club sponsored a Marjorie Moore birthday and invited all the organizations that had benefited from her foundation to come to the Kensington Congregational Church, where they had a tea and a bit of a ceremony and so on. And the photo is some of the members of the Monday Night Club with their hats to celebrate the occasion. And in 2007, there's a dedication of the new entrance to the bird sanctuary that the Monday Night Club and Kensington Garden Club had worked on. And this past Saturday, I don't have a picture of it, I should have. The Historical Society had a tea with Miss Marjorie Moore in the back there, celebrating her birthday, and they actually used her tea set, which I believe was given to Barbara Orchid and then donated, I assume, to the museum. You want Edwin?
Oh, sure. Edwin Moore was the oldest son of Nelson Augustus Moore, and he was also a painter. He was born in 1858 and died in 1925. He had some physical infirmities. I'm not sure exactly what. But
One of his hands from birth was
Okay.
not in good shape.
okay, yeah, that could have been a birth injury.
Yeah.
Now one of his favorite subjects were cows. And we have quite a few.
Did we say
examples.
cows?
Yeah. But also animals in general, so. But we've got a bunch yet. And a Saint Bernard. It's a nice one. Okay. The Red Bridge, we're trying to decide where that was. It was somewhere in the area of Glen Street or High Road. Huh?
South Meriden.
No, no, this was a wooden bridge.
There's another red bridge.
Yeah, yeah, this one,
This is a wooden.
yeah. And I'm not quite sure exactly where it was, but if anybody has an idea, we're open to suggestions.
But it's a Edwin painting.
Yeah. And
Ellen?
Ellen Moore was also an artist, and she did miniatures on ivory, and she also did watercolors. And this is one of her works, which is a portrait of a young woman. And then we have a couple of others that show her work.
What's interesting is Ethelbert tells us that Edwin and Ellen did not get along. Neither of them married, and they stayed in the stone house, their childhood home, all their lives, but they did not get along. And then Ethelbert, who many of you probably have heard of, he wrote the book 10th Generation about mostly Nelson Augustus Moore and then his own career and family. Some of his land was used for Moreland School, and I'm not sure if it was sold to the school or if it was donated. I'm not too clear about that. He was the president of Stanley Works because he married the boss's daughter. Well, hopefully he was talented too. He was a philanthropist, industrialist, writer, painter, and civic leader in New Britain. And his home that he built in 1900 is on the historic places of Connecticut. And then the fourth child of Nelson Augustus Moore is Allison Jasper Pickett Moore. It seems that he was called Pickett most of the time. And he seemed to have had weak lungs, so he was told to go to New Mexico for his health. He felt better, so he came back to New Britain and worked for Stanley Works. He did marry, but he died fairly young at age 37 and did not have children himself. So the only descendants of Deacon Roswell Moore is Nelson Augustus Moore's son, Ethelbert, who had 5 children. Everyone else that didn't marry or didn't have children. And Pickett Moore, who had married Deacon Moore there, I think obtained her wish that her children and grandchildren become painters and poets and writers. And this is a photo of one of the clocks that we have at the museum, showing some of the painting that was done. I don't think this was done by Anne Moore, but hopefully gives you an idea of the kinds of things that could have been done. Any questions or comments or corrections or additions that you'd like to make? Yeah.
Where's Marjorie Moore buried?
West Lane.
Oh, West Line.
Yeah. all the Moores are there. Yeah, across the street from you, Irene. Yeah.
I see all these names.
It's the back road and it's pretty much both sides of that road. You'll see a fairly large monument for Nelson Augustus Moore and his son, his family. Marjorie Moore's is actually just a little square, pretty much flat to the ground kind of thing. Very simple, you know, she didn't make much ado about herself. Anything else? Yeah.
I'd like to know how many people lived in town in these different periods that you were talking about.
Basically between 3,000 to 4,000 through the 1800s. It's really not until World War I that we start getting more population. And then of course, World War II, you know, we became a bedroom community and all the farms became housing developments. So we rapidly expanded. And right now I think we're around 20,000. When I started in 1976, I want to say we were about 15,000. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, let me know when you want to talk, but
But where was Ethelbert's house
New Britain.
in New Britain?
Yep.
Now, did Marjorie Moore have any children?
No,
No.
never married, never had
Okay,
children.
that's right. You said.
Yeah.
Her and her sister, they didn't get along.
No. Edwin and Ellen, who were children of Nelson Augustus Moore, didn't get along. As far as we know, Marjorie got along with her brother. It's just, you know, he died fairly young.
Where did Marjorie Moore live? Maybe you mentioned.
Oh, I should have mentioned it if I didn't.
Yeah, you
She-
skipped that slide.
Oh, well, she was born in the house next to Nelson Augustus Moore there on High Road. 1869, when her father became postmaster of Kensington, I think that's when they moved to the house across the street from the original library, now the museum on Peck Street. At that time, the house faced Kensington Road, and it was a long walkway to get to Kensington Road. You know, it was set back basically, and lots of grass, lawns, and so on. And the back door was what became Peck Street. Originally, Peck Street didn't exist. And then when it did, it was just a dirt path. It wasn't the road that we know of now. And so now we think what was the back door is now the front door. So the house is the same, it's just how you enter and so on is different.
Right.
Anything else? Okay, I know Rich wants to talk for a moment about a really special event.
Yes, well,
Use the mic because of Zoom. It's
because people are watching.
right. We hope,
Thank you.
and enjoying, we hope.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Sallie and Nancy. You did a great job, and I learned a couple more things. I've been doing a lot of reading about Nelson Augustus Moore lately and the family. I'm actually reading the book that Ethelbert wrote about
Oh,
his
10th generation.
no.
Oh, the other one.
Another book
Yeah.
about his efforts at Stanley.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So, it's not the most entertaining, but it is interesting. In any event, thank you. You guys did a great job. My name is Rich Gagliardi, I'm Vice President of the Berlin Land Trust. And I'm standing before you tonight to make an announcement. You saw pictures of the stone house in the presentation tonight. The Berlin Land Trust is very interested in preserving the Moore Farm on High Road, including the Moore Stone House. We've actually partnered with a national organization, the Trust for Public Land, as part of this effort. And when we began researching the land records and deed, we discovered that when the Moore Trust sold the land to the current owner, they included in the terms of the sale that a conservation easement be established around the stone house to protect it from the encroachment of any development that might happen on the farm property. And they also specified that that easement be assigned to the Berlin Land Trust. So you can imagine our surprise when we looked at the documentation and saw our name there. Must be a reason for that. Well, I'd like to report to you tonight that we have in fact now secured a conservation easement that will protect any more Stonehouse in perpetuity. We were generally concerned that with the development in the lower meadow, that a developer could choose to possibly bulldoze the house in order to maximize the construction of homes along High Road. If you've seen the development down there in that lower meadow, that's the kind of development that we were concerned about. In any event, I wanted to just quickly explain. A conservation easement is a legally binding agreement between a landowner, and in this case, the Berlin Land Trust. That agreement restricts any future development on approximately 7.2 acres around the Stonehouse. And it also protects the historic value of the house. We do not own the house, we just protect it. Stonehouse really is an amazing creation, and it truly is a testimony, I think, to Nelson's creative thinking and spirit. It has been characterized as one of the first homes to use modern cement construction techniques. As he formed each layer of the cement walls that make up the house, he strategically placed pieces of trap rock and other display materials in a seemingly artistic way, literally decorating the exterior walls of his home. As part of this easement, we've conducted a photographic study of the home's exterior construction details, and we've even discovered seashells that are decorating the exterior walls. Nelson Augustus Moore. He milled 160 barrels of cement from his uncle's cement mill on the Madawassett River, as you heard, just off a high road. To me, this house is simply another one of Moore's masterpieces. And because of that, the Stonehouse absolutely has to be protected and preserved so that others can see it and enjoy it. Berlin Land Trust will now be taking on that responsibility. We hope to be reporting more to you about our efforts with things there on High Road. And we hope you will stay tuned and keep an eye out for more of our conservation work in town. Thanks.
Thank you. Good job. Okay. And one more thing, hopefully you're not tired of us. Next month, we've been asked to do a program on the history of the fire department. We'll be doing it twice. On Tuesday, August 5th, we'll be at the Senior Center at 1 o'clock. And the following week, Tuesday, August 12th, here at the library. The history of the 4 independent fire departments in town and some of the big events that have happened in the town in the last, 80, 90 years there. So thank you for coming tonight. We are absolutely thrilled that you were here. Miss Marjorie Moore is in the back, and we thank her for coming tonight. And there's leftovers from the tea, and I brought a couple of things, and there's lemonade, and we hope you will enjoy, and thank you again. Thanks. Yeah.
Nice job.
Monster.
Yes, do.